Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Casey, where we sit down once a month, go over the topics of the day, discuss real estate, and, based on the success of the Coffee with Casey, we are going to expand the franchise. Did I tell you this? We're going to expand the franchise. So we're going to have beers with Casey, and in that we're just going to talk about football. And that'll be all the football. Billy is a genius football coach. We've been doing it for a long time, so we're just going to discuss football, Redskins, or maybe not Redskins, but just, fun things about football. And then we're going to do Jack and Casey, and on that show, we're going to solve all the world's problems. And by the time that's done...
We might not want to broadcast that one, Casey.
Oh, no, well, we have to broadcast it because we always solve the world's problems, but the next morning you never remember what the heck you were talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I was thinking possibly, driving with Casey, or cars with Casey, like they're doing with all the cars. Can you imagine if somebody put a video in our car as we're driving to work and somebody's cutting you off?
Casey karaoke singing in the car.
First of all, if you know anything about the Samson family, we are not a karaoke group. We don't have that gene. All right, guys, so getting back to Coffee with Casey, our pilot show. Today we're going to talk about the real estate market. So last year at this time, this is our Groundhog Day. We launch all our listings in January. I think we launched 8 listings in January. And then see what the market reaction is, whether we do have an active market, we don't have an active market. I've asked Mike Filan from First Heritage Mortgage to sit in because, the first thing a person does in a market is they call a lender, they get pre-qualified, and then they attempt to put in contracts. So Mike is always a good feedback person for us. We know what we know as realtors, and you know what you know as a lender. And so last year at this time, we knew we had a problem. We had launched a bunch of listings. We figured multiple contracts on some listings. We didn't get it. And we were hearing some crickets out there. Now, we were getting a contract, but we weren't getting 4 or 5 contracts. We weren't getting bidding. We weren't going over price. And if something went on and we felt, it really should be at $699 and they put on for $725, we weren't getting anything. So they were waiting, okay? So we knew that last year was going to be a tough market, as it basically played out throughout the year. It was not a good market around the real estate world, at least in Northern Virginia. So let's talk about this. This is kind of the first show of, are we into it for a good market or not?
Right.
Okay. So you made a statement to me about your pre-quals at our meeting the other day. Why don't you go ahead and fill everybody in on that?
Yeah, I was telling Casey in the last 2 weeks, I've written probably 20 pre-approval letters for people that are putting offers on a property, and 0 of those people have gotten the contract. So all of the situations have been multiple contracts, things have been bidding up, so it's looking busy. It's looking like a busy spot.
Well, it's a couple good things. One, you've got a heavy flow of buyers.
Right.
I mean, one lender, think of how many lenders are out there, so there's a lot of buyers out there. 2, they're not getting them because there are multiple contracts, so it tells me there's competition out there. 3, we launched 8 listings, 6 of those sold. And really what sold for what we thought it was going to sell for did, and we did have multiple contracts. So we're seeing a strong market, at least in the beginning. Now, it doesn't mean yet you can overprice things. It doesn't mean you can get carried away. In fact, today we're going to talk about, one of the biggest test cases that I've seen in a long time, and that's launching this afternoon. And we're going to kind of keep an eye on it and see what happens with that. And we'll talk about that in a minute in the de-aging section. But so, we are seeing, Billy, you're doing open houses. You see the traffic that's coming through here. What's your read so far?
Yeah, kind of the same read that Mike is giving. There's definitely buyers out there. It seems like there's not enough inventory. The good homes that are in good condition, that are priced correctly, seem to be selling at a price, at or a little bit above what we've been thinking. The homes that are in bad condition or are overpriced are sitting.
Yeah.
So buyers are still smart. They're not in a panic to buy right now. But I think, like you guys have both said, that the homes that are priced correctly, in good condition, that have a good marketing program, they drive a lot of buyers out, and there's multiple contracts on those properties.
Right now we are better than 2018, not as good as 2017. So I chart the sales for January, and I go, 16, 17, 18, 19. So our sales are up, clearly up from last year. And I think that, to be honest with you, now that the political thing is settled, we're not going to have another shutdown. Everybody just shuts up and let us go back to work. I think that now is resolved. You can feel today a collective sigh of relief that we're not going to go through this again because, it just wears everybody down. You know what I mean? It just depresses you. It's like, God dang it.
Especially in our area where, it seems like half of the employees out there are either in the government or related directly to the government, right? So government contractors, government workers, they don't want to be out of work. We don't want them to be out of work. We want them to be in work.
Right.
It helps consumer confidence, and consumer confidence drives, our industry. So I think.
Did you guys get held up at all in any of your loan officers at First Heritage on the first shutdown?
We did. I mean, there were a lot of questions being asked, and the same thing with consumer confidence that you're saying. When there's uncertainty, people are hesitant,
Yeah.
So it's like, can I buy right now? I mean, I'm not getting a paycheck, so how is this all going to work? So we had confidence that, they were going to start working again sooner or later kind
Right.
of thing, so we were able to continue
So
to
it didn't
do
really
loans.
hiccup you. I think it was more consumer confidence than an actual reality that a lender's going to say, you're not working
Correct.
right now. So did you have any that were on their way to settlement and they were furloughed and that kind of held everything up? Did that hold up any settlements?
We did, but our company said we'll fund the loans, we'll get them done, and we'll sell them to the secondary market once they're back and employed.
So let me explain real quick the difference between what's going on behind the scenes with the lenders. So there's three types of lenders that you can go to. There is a broker, there is a correspondent lender, and then there's a bank, a lender bank, like a Wells Fargo, a Chase, or something, a Bank of America. Correspondent lenders are what we've always preferred and recommended, and a correspondent lender actually uses their own money. They settle the transactions. They have their own underwriting, their own money. They think for themselves. They're not pigeonholed, if you will. And so a lot of times you get the best bang for your buck, price-wise and service-wise, when you're dealing with a correspondent lender. Now, First Heritage is a big one. There's others around here that we'll tell people about, but First Heritage is the one that works with Samson Properties. And the reason Danny picked them over a Wells Fargo or something like that, which is smart, is because a correspondent lender is much more flexible, can help people out, and what happens is they don't exactly hold the money. Anybody can take a loan. It takes a
Right.
correspondent lender to hold the loan. But what they do is they'll settle the loan, put it in their warehouse, which is hundreds of millions of dollars, and then eventually we'll move that off in packages to banks, okay? And so they're kind of the best of both worlds. They have multiple packages, so let me explain this. So there's different kinds of loans. There's jumbo loans, there's super jumbo loans, there's conforming Freddie and Fannie, there's government loans, so there's a whole bunch of different loans.
Right.
Well, sometimes a bank like Wells Fargo may be what we call in the money. They may have great money on Fannie Mae, but they don't have such good money on government loans or jumbo loans or super jumbo loans. Or maybe they got this killer jumbo loan program. Well, a correspondent lender, actually when they sell their stuff, they sell wholesale to a Wells Fargo or a Chase. So you actually sell your loans to them.
Correct.
And you can look and say, well, the bank that's in the money right now is Wells Fargo, or the bank that's in the money is Chase, or the super jumbo money is over here at Bank of America. So I think when you're dealing with a correspondent lender, they can get the best of all worlds. Now, a broker can also pick and choose the best of both worlds. However, a broker does not close their own loans. So a broker is at the mercy. Let's say Wells Fargo is in the money. So I'm going to take this loan. I'm going to take it over to Wells Fargo, unbeknownst to the buyer. All they know is you're going through them. So that broker's got to deal with the underwriters of Wells Fargo, which sometimes can be a little more difficult. Their appraisers are difficult. I'll be honest with you that when we do a loan and we have a person coming in to take one of our properties, if we have 5 loans, then we're really looking for the correspondent lender that's dealing with one of those brokers, because one of the agents, because Wells Fargo is very difficult to get appraisals on. Same with Chase, same with Bank of America. So if we think that we have you know, the appraised value may be here, but the buyers all bid it up to here, you know, I got a problem. If we go with Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Chase, they could appraise it low, and they really don't care. They really, really don't care.
The service also, and I don't mean to step on your toes, Mikey, but the service as well, you know, I mean, if something's going wrong or if, you know, if we need to get a hold of an underwriter or a processor, you know, Mike has his underwriter right here or, you know.
Yeah, we deal with Bank of
Fairfax.
America. We have an 800
Bank of America is
number
an
to call.
800 number, and they work in Houston, and they don't really care if you get your loan done or not. So that's another reason why, you know.
Well, and we don't accept internet loans either. When somebody comes in and they've got approval from whoever they have on the internet, we're not going to accept the loan. So, you know, as far as lending is concerned, it is not a commodity. Everybody's got, well, a quarter point or an eighth of a point. It's not a commodity. There's a lot of things surrounding loans. There's a lot of service that has to be done. There's issues that come up in the loan where your underwriter may be able to waive that off or do a little bit, whereas we've just run into, listen, you only have to go, you know, be 3 days away from settlement and have a loan blow up in your face over appraisal or underwriting or something and have to call an 800 number. You only do that once.
Yeah. One thing I would
And
say
you never
with
do that again.
Exactly. One thing I would say with a correspondent lender too, you know, as opposed to a bank, if you do run into an issue, you know, a bank has their set guidelines and their set overlays on a loan program where we have 25, 30 different investors that we're usually like underwriting to somebody. So it's like, if there is an issue that comes up with somebody for one particular reason, we're like, all right, well, maybe this one can't do it, but this one is fine with it. So we can just do it to their guidelines.
Right.
Gives us the flexibility to be able to do that.
So I've been in this business for a long time, since 1981. I mean, for God's sakes, man. Carter, I think, was still in office when I got in here. I think Reagan was just coming in. But I will tell you that, you know, I know you're dealing with your bank and you have big money with that bank, but you might want to seriously consider working with a large correspondent lender in this area. I don't recommend the brokers and I don't recommend the big banks. I recommend correspondent lenders. We use First Heritage. In fact, all of our basically loans just go right to Mike, who we get serviced pretty well, very, very well. And because if something goes wrong, all I want to do is get the settlement. I love you, man, but I want to talk to you.
Sure.
I don't want to have any issues. I don't have any problems. We got a deal. We want to go to settlement. Just get it to settlement. Never, ever. In fact, well, I didn't mean to, this is not a plug Mike show. This is, but I will say this.
But I like it.
Yeah. So our team will have here, and all of a sudden, and we'll settle on, let's say, 10 listings in a month. Inevitably, something comes up where it's like, oh my gosh, the person's loan is blown up, you know, and we shift it over to Mike, and within 10 days, we're settling on that house. So, yeah, that's why. Now, you described that you qualified 20 people, and a lot of them are losing loans because they are struggling to get, they're competing.
Sure.
They're competing.
Competition.
So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about how you win that competing battle if we're going into the spring. Is this on the agenda? Is this what I said we were talking about? I don't remember.
I kind of wanted to talk about this after that open house.
Topic.
Buyer strategy.
Yeah, buyer strategies. That a girl, Julie. Keep us online.
Can I just comment on one thing with the buyers kind of
First
mentality?
of all, before you do anything, say hi to your mother.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Connie is by far our
biggest
number
fan.
one fan, and she's always watching all of our
Happy
stuff, so.
Valentine's, Mom.
We have to have Connie in live on the couch.
If
one
we
day.
only have one viewer of our show, it's Connie. Trust me. So,
She did already wish us a happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day,
Bam!
everybody. Yes.
without her, we're fanless. I mean, we literally are fanless. I'm not sure she's going to stick around for the beer with Casey and the Jack Daniels with Casey, but we'll see. We'll see.
She might comment on those. But,
She might comment on that.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, at the open house. So, you know, at this time of the year, you know, we're getting into, like, as Mike said, he's qualified, you know, around 20 buyers. And the mentality of certain buyers is, oh, if I lose this one, there'll be another one
Right.
a month from now or 2 weeks from now.
Right. Did you say you qualified 20 people? Right. Times a lot of lenders, there's a lot of people out there.
Right. So, and, you know, I kind of heard the same thing at open houses the past couple weekends where it's like, yeah, you know, we don't really know yet. Or, there's going to be more stuff coming on, blah, blah, blah. you know, the one message that I would send to buyers right now is that if you find something that you like, is to hop on it now, because in a month from now, there's going to be twice as many buyers out, and who knows if you're going to find something. And if you're losing competing offers now,
Wait till you see what
wait until
happens.
March 15th rolls around, and there's twice as many buyers out, and the inventory may or may not be better. So
On a sunny 70-degree day
exactly,
when everybody's
exactly.
getting
So-
out of the
And the
house.
flowers are out.
Right.
Now, you think there's going to be a lot more inventory out there, but basically the inventory is going to go up and the buyer pool is going to go way up. So don't mess around. I mean, if you're messing around over $5,000, you have a real problem. I mean, it's going to be a problem, because let me tell you what happens after you lose 6 deals. And by the time you get to April, you've lost 6 deals, because you're trying to tough negotiate with a seller in a seller's market. I'm going to give you a few tips of getting this deal, by the way, in a second. But here's what happens. Lady comes in, she's at an open house. She says, hey, man, I lost 6 deals. And I said, okay. She said, I really love this house. She put in a contract. It was $875,000. And because she had said she'd already lost 6 deals, I said, I'm going to need your highest and best offer Monday at 5 o'clock. And she was distressed because, like, oh my gosh, is there more contracts? Like, all I know is we had 40 people at the open house. Give me your highest and best offer. So she bumped her offer from $875 to $917. So she bumped it $42,000. She was the only bidder.
The
She was the only
desperation
bidder.
sets in.
The desperation sets in.
Fear and
Now,
greed.
after a while, your wife is saying, give me that damn house. And you've already lost 3 or 4. So what I'm saying is that there's 2 things that drive the market. One is fear and the other is greed. So the fear builds that you're not going to get a house. And it builds and builds until you make a mistake. So don't do that. And you know, when the market really hits, it could be 25 or 30, you know, don't be crazy. You know, going over $25,000 or $5,000 is not a killer. But here's other tips. Here's some really other tips. Number 1, the best thing, if you really love that house and they're going to have contracts at 5 o'clock on Monday, get your home inspector out there on Monday morning and have him walk the house with you. I mean, just not give you a full report, but walk the house. Let's not be crazy about this. Walk the house, look at all the important items. Is this okay? Yes. Waive the home inspection. Waive the home inspection. As soon as somebody waives a home inspection, we're going to go right to the top. So let's say that everyone in this room submits a contract, but Mike goes and gets a home inspection first thing on Monday morning. First of all, I'm thinking smart agent. I'm thinking anxious buyer. He's not leaving because he's already put his money up. You know, I'm going to give you full attention, okay? No home inspection is in the best interest of my seller. So let's say you all put in a contract of $720,000 and Mike, you come in at $715. I'm going to say, Mike, can you give me $720? Yes, it's all yours.
Because I waived the home inspection.
You bet your ass.
Is that one of the main reasons
That's
why
the main
contracts
reason. Main
fall?
reason. Number 1 reason contracts fall apart is home inspections. And what happens is people will get into a bidding thing. And when they're bidding, sometimes they'll maybe put in an offer that was too high. They're like, oh man, what was I, drinking Jack Daniels or something? That was stupid. And then they'll back out. I mean, they'll do the home inspection, but they're like, we screwed up. We never should have bid this much, and away they go. So then we go to contract number 2, 3, 4, or 5. But if somebody does a home inspection and they get that out of the way, that anxiety out of the way, then we're pretty much 95% there. And that shows, and all we want to do is get the firmest contract we can. So we look at, here's other things that we look at. If you're coming in with a low money down loan and you're talking with any of the banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, you're automatically out, just automatically out. I know that the appraisal comes in low, you can't put up extra money, you are what we would call a high risk contract. We're trying to mitigate all of our risks. Big deposit, big down payment, over 20%. Now, over 20% doesn't mean, if you say I'm going to put up 40%, you don't have to put up the 40%. You can put up 20% because you can switch your financing as long as it doesn't extend the contract time or cause a default. So, but by saying I have the 40% to put down, you're telling us that even if there's an issue with the appraisal, you can still go to settlement.
Right.
So I think that's important. We're looking for bigger down payments. We're looking for lenders. Who's your lender? if I'm dealing with the McLean Mortgage, First Heritage, or one of these guys that we know is a legitimate group, yeah, all good. So we're checking off the plus boxes, down payment, what kind of financing it is, how much is your down payment, who's your agent. Now, let me be clear on this. Everybody's got to listen to this one. If you have an agent that submits a contract to us on Friday and says, you either take this contract or we're going to withdraw it, so we're not going to have a home inspection. So a normal house will go on Thursday, will be seen on Friday and Saturday, have an open house on Sunday, do contracts on Monday. So inevitably, every house that we have, we'll have an agent that comes in, they say, we'll give you full price for this house and we'll give it to you. And if you don't take this contract, we're pulling out.
Because they don't want you to go to the open house.
Never do that. Never, ever, 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 ever do that. Because the way the listing agents look at that is you're trying to bully the seller or us. So you're automatically trying to bully us before we even get into a contract negotiation. So what are you going to be like when it comes time for a home inspection? And by the way, if we accept your contract through a bully agent on a Friday, well, you're the only person. So when you do the home inspection, not only are you a bully, but you're also, we have no leverage over you because I don't have a backup contract. I have nothing. All I know is I've gone on the market. Now I'm off the market. Now if I go back on the market, I lose that group, what I call the fish. I always consider real estate to be like fishing. You bait your hook and you throw it in the right pool and there's plenty of fish in that pool for this bait and they all jump on it. So if ever anybody sends a contract and says, you got 24 hours to make a decision, that's out. And I'll do everything in my power to make sure that if we get multiple contracts, that you do not win that contract. Because we will make sure that, because I don't want to have somebody that's trying to beat up on the seller. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's our job, and again, I guess on our website, do we still have the shepherd on there? The security? We feel that it's our job to protect our sellers. And there's a lot of wolves out there that are going after your seller. Well, as soon as a agent tries to muscle on your group, he's automatically a wolf. Now, the wolves are appraisers, home inspectors, termite people, the other agent. And to be honest with you, do you know what the number one wolf is?
I don't have a clue.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
The number one wolf is the seller. Right? Because some sellers, they haven't done this once every 20 years. So they will, everybody overprices their home because they have the sweat equity in it and they have, their own passion, pride of ownership. So they'll and they will overprice their house. Well, if you overprice your house will sit, your house will get stale, and before you know it, 40% of the houses in Northern Virginia last year withdrew unsold.
I would also say that.
And it's the wolf. The biggest wolf of all was the seller that overpriced the house.
An even bigger wolf is the neighbor. That's telling the seller, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Put it on for $550. It's $625.
It's at least $625.
Right. So that's also another wolf too. So don't listen to your neighbors.
Well, but that's why when you really, it's important to pick a realtor that is a professional, does it every day of the week, independent, and not necessarily from the neighborhood. A neighborhood realtor is really good, but that neighborhood realtor has a vested interest. Let me give you a perfect example. We went to Dominion Valley, and Pat and I were pricing a house, and I'm stickler on pricing a house, so I priced the house. Neighborhood realtor said, you're crazy. That's a crazy number. Well, they've listed 12 houses that were all withdrawn. The last 12 listings had withdrawn unsold, and they're going to tell us we're wrong at pricing. So, of course, we put ours on, and it sells. Like, oh, that's great. No, that's what it's worth. So the neighborhood realtors sometimes, bless their heart, they don't do a ton of business, but a lot of time they have a vested interest. They live in the community. They remember when the price was $750. Now it's $650, and it's hard to bite that. No, that's a $750,000 house all day long. The market is what the market is.
Right.
So if the market is receded, then you have a choice. Right now, it's currently going to sell for $650,000. Now, we may get some bidding that will bid that house up, which is the 5 contracts that we're looking for. But at 750, it sits around, it gets stale, or 725, it sits around, it gets stale, nothing happens, then the contract is withdrawn, or eventually the second emotion kicks in, greed. So fear makes you push it up because you're afraid you're going to lose the house. Greed is, oh, I'm coming in. I'm coming in at 625. I'm coming in low. I'm going to beat them up on the home inspection. I mean, I tell the story, we had a home inspection, 115 items on a home inspection, and should I not have 3 contracts behind them, we're fixing 115 items.
Right.
Instead, we fixed 3 because, we had backup contracts. So, it's really, you're either going to be in a leverage position, you're either the leverager or the leveragee. And I think we need to be the leverager. We need to be the ones giving the leverage. Using the leverage. That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
That is
I had
good.
these college boys hanging around just to check me on that. So, that was a lot of kind of power in when you're going out to buy a house. Now, another thing that's important, the realtor themselves is important. So, if you're dealing with a good realtor that everybody knows and everybody likes to work with, they want to have somebody that's nice. Because if you want to play hardball with a listing agent and they don't like you, or they know you're going to be a problem, or you've only done 2 deals a year, they're a little more skeptical. Because we do put a lot of weight. We just had one in Vienna for $720,000, and they were all at $720,000. And so we picked the realtor that we knew that we could really deal with. They had half, 50% down, which made it a little easier. But that was the agent that we wanted too, So deals run smooth when your agent is likable. Another thing, so let's say Billy's at an open house and you really like this open house. Be friends with Billy. Be friends with the listing agent that's in that house. Be nice to them. Let them know. Now, if a wife is at a house and she loves it, but the husband is picking it apart as he goes through, we remember you. So when the contracts come in, it's like you have that husband that was really kind of anti this house and picking it apart. Maybe he was an engineer or a structural engineer or something. He was picking this house apart. I don't know. But if you have a husband and wife and you're in there, or husband, or wife and wife, I'm generically correct. I don't know what you call it. Let's say you have partners that are in there and both people like it. And it fits both people and they really have seen houses and this is perfect and their kids in the elementary school. Well, Billy's taking notes or Kelly's taking notes or Pat's taking notes and they're saying, okay, this person is going to be pretty easy to go through. I'm really going to hope they get this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we will say, we really hope you get this. And because we're all going to be pretty close.
And it's great for your sellers too, for them to have a nice, peaceful transaction and not have these people coming at them all the time and, making it a living hell for them.
Well, and that comes to another thing, Mike. A mother-to-mother letter, very powerful, very powerful. Dads don't care. Moms do. So when a letter comes in, oh, we really love it, picture of the kids, really love your house, they go to this, they play soccer here, they go to that school, they have friends that go to the school.
Church.
That really makes somebody feel like, hey, we put a lot of effort into this house. This is our home. This was our home for 20 years. We're going to miss it. We're going to love it. But to know another family's coming in that's really cool and really nice, and, the money, I don't mean to split people up and say, hey, the dads are thinking about the money and the moms are thinking about who's going to be living in my home. I know a lot of moms are just worried about the money, but that is important if you do have that letter and you send it over. And I never hesitate to send it to the people because I'm not going to read it because I'm just looking for the money. I mean, I am here to get the max amount of money in the shortest period of time and the least amount of expenses. That's our job.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I've certainly seen a number of times where people have taken, a little bit less money because of these letters. They're like, all right, I can see a good family's.
Yeah, we're not going to take less money. I'm gonna still get the money.
But yeah, all right.
Like I said, that's for the mom.
Yeah.
Do you want them to get the contract? Fine. Okay, Mike, if you can get your clients up to 825, we'll get you the house.
Perfect.
Won't move? Next. Let's find the next one.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have beautiful kids too.
It's a great strategy, though.
But
Absolutely.
it's one of those things, and as Billy and I know in coaching football, you can't do one thing right or two things right. You have to do everything right. So when you come in, you really need to do it all. If you really like that house, come on in, go to the open house, meet the agent, let them know that you both, feel good about that house. I'm not saying you got to be a buddy and go out and have beers. I'm just saying it's a people business too. It's money and people. But we kind of know, and that's why we do open houses, we're feeling out who the people are that we have identified as that's your buyer. I'm just telling you. And the perfect buyer is going to give you the highest price and the less hassle. We know that their house is sold. We know that they need to move into a house in 45 days. These people are not messing around. We need to get them in this house.
Right.
So in that, we kind of look at the whole picture, but that's important. So if you are going to buy a house, now another thing with our people when they're Kelly or Billy or all of that, when you're buying a house through you guys, and they're all buyer agents. Kelly's a buyer agent, Pat's a buyer agent, Billy's a buyer agent, Colby, Pam, Shayna, they're all buyer agents. Morgan, bless her heart. They know what the listing agents are looking for, number one. Number two, when a contract comes in from a Casey Samson team, a listing agent knows us, has heard of us, knows that we're listing agents, and they're going to be on the other side from us sometime. So they're going to want to be friends with us. So sometimes when, as I said, you're looking at the agent, if I have an agent from a larger team or some team that we know that we're going to be on the other side a lot, then that may be a team that we would rather work with. If they'll match the numbers, then we'll work with that team, as opposed to an individual agent that only does 2 deals. So to have an agent working for you that does $100 million a year on their team sends a signal to the listing agent that
Professionals.
you want to be a professional courtesy. You want to be friends with this group, okay? Because in turn, we will at least consider your contract higher than the others, all things being considered, okay? So you want to do that. Now,
Can I touch on one thing?
Yeah.
We have, 29, 30 pre-launches right now in our pre-launch. So, it's, Michelle
Getting tired, Michelle?
Michelle and
Julie,
Julie,
you okay, man?
getting
They've got
geared up
double
to put-
espressos over there. They're waiting for the jack
Busy
hour.
time.
So we're looking at 5 or 6 homes a week now coming up that are going to be launching. So, and a lot of times, if we have a client that wants to get into a house, I'm looking for 5 or 6 people right now, that are saying, hey, this is what we want. This is what we can spend. What do you have? That's in pre-launch. Right. So a lot of the times, if you work through us, if you come to me or if you come to Kelly or whoever your friend is on the team that you want to use, we have homes that are in pre-launch right now, and a lot of times we can get you in the home, and if you like it and you match the price or the desired terms and price, a lot of times we can go under contract without going on the market.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you're a buyer right now and you are interested, get in contact with one of us, and we can definitely hook you up on some of our coming soons that are.
Let me give you a perfect example.
Pre-launch.
So for 1.499, if anybody's looking for a $1.5 million house,
to 2 people.
we have a killer coming up. At 145, we have a launch today, which is as nice a house, 4,200 square feet, above grade. And let me tell you what we did with this house. So it was built in 2002. Now this also ties into a thing that we call de-aging a house, okay? De-aging a house. So we did the Home and Garden Show. We're going to do it again. Am I doing it again next week?
You're speaking on Friday next week.
So I'm going to speak Friday of next week at the Home and Garden Expo. Home and Garden Expo in Chantilly at 2 o'clock. Dulles Expo. So I'm going to be talking at the Dulles Expo. And here's basically what we're going to be talking about. So you walk in and you price a house. Well, a 2002 house is priced at, let me give you an example. So I priced this house at $1.385 million. That's what it's worth at 2002. Why? Because 2002 houses have defining characteristics of gold hardware all throughout the house. The plumbing fixtures are from 2002. The lighting fixtures are from 2002. A lot of the the decoration or the drapes and all that stuff is 2002. So what we did was Kelly and I went in and started working with them 2 years ago and said, here's all the things you need to do to get rid of this age of this house. So I was anticipating going over telling them 1.4 million because it really was a great house, great location, Wolf Trap School District. And we went in and they had done everything we had asked. They had replaced all hardware. They'd replaced all plumbing fixtures, bathtubs, everything. They'd done the bathroom the way we asked them to do it. They now it has the frameless glass and all that stuff. So all of the lighting fixtures are cool and up to date and modern. So I went walking through the house again, and it's not a 2002 house. Now it's all that features that they just put in cost about $10,000 or something for just the cosmetic things. But I went in and I said, this is not a 2002 house anymore. It's a 2008 or 2010 house. So when you change the date from 2002 to 2008, 2010, it went from 1.38 to 1.445. So it increased it $50,000 to $60,000 because you've de-aged the house. So if you take a house that was built in 1985 and it has when they walk in that door, it's like 1985. If you were to put the money in, and you're doing it now over by Tyson's Corner, Billy's going in there and it's all the old paint is out, the new paint is in, they got some flooring in the kitchen that's going in, the cool porcelain stuff.
Fixtures.
The fixtures are out, the hardware is in. Now, when you and I walked in that house, there's no way you're going to sell that house in that condition, or you're going to take a terrible cut. So he's going to probably put, I don't know, $10,000 in the house, $10,000 in that house,
Around
maybe
$9,000.
$10,000, $9,000.
Yep.
And I would tell you it'll sell $50,000 more because it's no longer going to be a 1985, 2,500 square foot house. It's now going to be a 1995 or so. You know what I mean?
It's
you
updated.
can't go all the way because I guess they have a new roof, but you still have other things to consider. But as a person de-ages a house, I'm talking about the HVAC system, the roof are the main. Those are the main things.
Hot water heater.
A hot water heater. And then you get into the cosmetics. Now, the cosmetics are a $10,000 investment, a $50,000 return.
And
You want people to walk into the house and say, wow, not ugh.
be
It's like-
desirable, right?
Yeah.
You want to be desirable.
Absolutely.
Let me make this statement. Buyers have no vision. They may have but because when Carol and I bought our house, we literally walked in the door and it was like, this is the ugliest damn house I've ever seen in my life. And we were standing there thinking about it, and these people walked in behind us, and she looked around and goes, oh, God, and walked out. I looked at my wife. I swear to God, I looked at Carol and said, we'll take it. We'll take it. Because it's just paint and carpet.
Right.
Rip up this and rip up that. Before you know it, you got a nice house, right? So for those that are smart, hey, man, buy an older house, put in the cosmetic, bring it up to a newer house, and you have built-in equity. But most people don't have that vision. Most people don't want to do the work. Most people don't know what work to do. By the way, don't let me forget the $120,000 save this week. Yeah, I don't want to get out of here without that. But
Or a lot of people don't have the extra cash to be able to buy the house.
Extra
and then-
time with 2 jobs and 2 kids.
there's no vision, there's no money, there's no time. So if you can remove all of that, then you get the benefit. So that's why at the last Home Expo show, we have people calling us, and we'll go in, and they're 2 years away from listing their house, but they're calling us in to say, what do we do? So we walked into one the other day, and the lady says, well, we've been recommended that we do $120,000 new kitchen and new bathrooms. So we walked in, flooring correct, hardware perfect, all the electrical and plumbing fixtures were updated, the kitchen was updated, the bathrooms were updated, frameless glass in the master bedroom bath. It's like, holy cow. First of all, you're not a 2005 house. I mean, you are far beyond a 2005 house. So if they told you to put in a new kitchen and new bathroom, then you better take that money and go buy a boat, because you don't need to put it. If you were to invest $120,000 in that house, you would not get back $10,000. You're already head and shoulders above your neighborhood, head and shoulders above the customary people. So, you've got to use what we call smart money. Now, smart money is cosmetic money. If you've got gold, get brushed nickel. If you've got old plumbing fixtures, get rid of them. Get new plumbing fixtures. So last night, you know, here I'm giving this advice to everybody. No, you need to get this orb, you know. So Kelly just ordered this orb for somebody, and I'm like, why the hell don't I have that? You know, and poop, she's ordering it for me, you know, put it in my house.
Nice.
So we look at what we look at, and we don't notice that we're not up to date because we live in our house. I mean, come on. Now this orb, right? This orb is the coolest little feature over your kitchen table and all. $220. That's $220. I'm like, here's American Express. Buy me one of those, you know, because I just bought this for this person. It's like, yeah. Now, it's not, so when you walk into a room, and let me vision, you know, you walk into a foyer and you're seeing plants and wallpaper and maybe bad rugs, or you're seeing a bunch of drapes all over the place. It's dark. You're seeing an old, you know, ceiling light. You know, it's like, God, take the old ceiling lights out, put recessed lighting in there, get rid of all the drapes, clean the windows, make sure it's all clear, get rid of the plants, get rid of everything gold, put in the hardware. And now, for some people, they don't have time or energy, and they're like, dude, just sell the damn house. I don't need your advice. It's like, you got it. But I'm going to tell you, there's a big difference in the pricing models of as is, needs work, customary, and updated. And if you can go from needs work to updated for $10,000 and that price increase is $50,000, you know, and the bottom line is this, that's okay. But our buyer agents, that's what we're looking for.
Sure.
So when we go in and we're working with a buyer, we're looking for gold, man. We're looking for gold. It's like, show us your gold. What is it? What did they say? Show us your gold. Show us your ugly lamps. Show us bad paint. Oh, please, for God's sake, show me some powder blue paint, right? So, because we know that.
Show me 120 days on the market.
Show me 120 days on the market.
You getting beat.
Well, and again, and here's the scenario. Here's the scenario, and here's the dance. The wolf, the seller. Sometimes they're the wolf. Sometimes they're very agreeable, but one or the other could be that wolf. Usually not both of them. Sometimes one wants more, and you prove what the price is worth, and then they both agree, and then we're off sailing. But when you have a wolf that that wants to overprice their house $50,000 or $75,000, they're going to sit, and they're going to sit for a long time. Now, that's the group. So, Billy, when you guys are looking for buyers, yeah, show me the 120 days on the market. Okay, you blew it. Buyers are going to win on that. Show me the house that hasn't been updated. Show me the house that needs, you know, that needs that kind of work, that I know that, first of all, you beat them up on a home inspection because they've been on for 120 days and there's nobody else there, so they pretty much are at your mercy. And if you go in and you put a house under contract and you decide not to buy that house, no big deal. But they've got to go back on the market, and that's a black mark on them, and they're going to be more difficult. So the leverage is with the buyer on a 120-day listing as opposed to the seller. So I would just go back to the beginning of this tape. I would go with if I'm going to buy, I'm going to work with an agent that works on a big, well-known listing team like ours. I'm going to, if I really love the house, I'm going to have my inspector come in for $200 and walk the house in the morning. I'm going to have a correspondent lender. I'm going to make sure I can get, at least even if it's a gift from mom and dad that they're putting down a lot of money, I could say, look, you know, I'm going to put down 30%, maybe 10 is coming from mom and dad, but at least the listing agent sees that they could do, if they needed to, they could do 30%. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to defraud a seller, because our contracts state that you can switch financing on the contract as long as you don't delay settlement or cost the seller any money. So that's already in the contract, but you want to see that they're capable of that. So all of those things, get to know the listing agent, have a listing agent that knows everybody in that, you know. So, you know, those are the things to look at.
I was going to say, have your lender call the listing agent as well, helps the buyers, because there's a big difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. And, you know, some lenders, especially the internet lenders or those kinds of things, they take an application and the buyer says, I
Mike,
make $10,000.
you and I are going to go like this on that one, buddy. I'll tell you what. Well, and I would do this. I would say if you have, like, if there's a team then that could go to the alt agent
Sure.
or the co-listing agent. But a lot of times, some of the lenders will call me and talk for and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, I'm quick with it, but I just try and let the listing agent know that I've seen their documentation, I've verified it, and they are good to go.
A lot of the times, though, it's not Casey
Yeah.
that wants the phone call, or like Mike said, if you're quick with it, then it's not a problem. The alt agent, though, a good alt agent will call if there's 4 or 5 contracts and you have 4 or 5 pre-approvals and there's 2 competing. I'll call the lender on 1 and 2.
Let me ask you something.
And if I get a Quicken Loans, 1-800 Quicken Loans, or if conversely, if I get Mike on the phone, I know who I'm going to work with.
Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about how important this is, what you just said, okay? So our listing protocol is when you bring us in a contract, we're calling the lender.
Right.
And we're going to find out. And we're going to ask you those questions that you just said. And I didn't mean to get abrupt because I got too many phone calls as is.
Sure,
I'm like,
sure.
well, I don't want to talk. And usually they're trying to push you. Hey, you can use me if ever. I got a lender.
Yeah.
But our listing protocol is that when the contracts come in and we're trying to look at the 5 and advise the sellers, we're talking to you guys. Have you seen their documentation yet?
Right.
Do you know who this person
returns.
is? Who is that again? That might not be good.
Right.
And so, you've seen their tax returns. What are the things that you need to look at that turn them from a pre-qual letter to what do you check on somebody before you're willing to give them that?
Certainly pulling credit.
Yeah.
Verifying their documentation as far as their assets and their income. So, sometimes people say I make $10,000 a month, and
Prove it.
Yeah, prove it. Or if they're self-employed, especially, or if they have rental properties, write-offs that might take them from this income level down to this income level,
Right.
where they don't qualify anymore. So,
Right.
being able to see all of their liabilities with their actual income and making sure that they do qualify to purchase this property.
Right. So what we're looking for is ready, willing, and able buyers. This is the able part.
Right.
We know you're ready. We know you're willing, but are you able?
Exactly.
And that's the key that we need to talk to the lender about.
And how long do pre-quals last?
They last for 90 days, as good as the credit report is good for. But you can always just update the credit report. If somebody's pre-approved, and be ready to keep on going.
Yeah. So today we've talked about home buyer strategies. We've talked about contacting us prior to selling a house. We've talked about how to, what you need to do with your lenders. And let me tell you something, really, I cannot emphasize this enough, and I'm not pushing you, Mike. If you weren't sitting here, I'd be saying the same thing. As a real estate professional, you got to use a correspondent lender. That's all there is to it. But we've talked about getting into a house early before you make any decisions. I used to say, don't pick up the hammer, call me. Don't get can you imagine if that person spent $120,000 and they didn't have to? Would that suck? That's terrible.
Absolutely.
So I don't mean to be, and there are occasions where, you have the old windows, do I replace the windows? Yes, but there's a $20,000 difference in calling the right person and the wrong person in that too.
Sure.
So, we can get in there and at least steer you to the proper vendors, or tell you whether you need it or don't need it, or tell you how much the investment you're going to put in will return you. I have a lady right now that called from Franklin Farm, and we've got to get back to her this morning. She's talking about doing a finished basement. Is that worth it or not worth it? It's in Franklin Farms. Is that worth it or not worth it? So I'll answer her on the air, okay? The answer is yes, it's worth it. It makes the house more desirable. Are you going to get back, the same $30,000 you put into it? Probably, yes. You got to have a rec room and a finished bath to be a customary house in there. Just make sure it's up. But in saying that, yes, finish the basement. She's not selling her house. She's just going to live in it. So it's also your family. Does your family need it or not need it? If they need it, do it. If they don't, don't. But an improvement like that, yes. But putting on a screen porch, putting on an addition, putting on this, putting on that, doing, a new kitchen when your old kitchen is as it should be. But there are some cases, take Sam, right next to your parents' house. There's a house on Eagle Tavern in Virginia Run. So this house, as we go on, as a home ages, the ones that deteriorate, the ones that are improved, improve. So by the time you get out to 30 years, there's a 20% difference in the ones that have deteriorated and the ones that have been fully approved. So 20%. So on an $800,000 house, $700,000 house, that's 70 up or 70 down. It could go anywhere from 770 to, 625 or 525.
Right.
So professionals are out there and they will grab a house and they'll, get it at the lowest as-is value, and then they'll remodel it, put in the kitchen, put in all that stuff, and rehab the whole damn thing. Now they're going to get the top of the market. So they go from the bottom of the market as is to the top of the market, and that is a 20% plus spread. So if they spend $80,000 and it's worth another $150,000, then they've made some good money. But that's usually the way it works. Now an as-is is even lower than that. I mean, if an as-is or if needs work is, let's say, 625, and as-is could go 525. Right?
Sure.
So that's where the contractors come in, and they're professionals. They come in and redo the whole house. Now, this house was sold for what it was sold for, but they're putting in new kitchens, new baths, and it will set a record for what this size house will sell for in Virginia Run. So, people want to get into Westfield School District. I'd prefer Madison, but of course Westfield. If you have to live.
If you want to win games, go to Westfield. I'm just kidding. I love Madison.
But anyways, this is a house that's coming out of an Eagle Tavern. I guess it'll be ready in mid-March, but this will set a record for what these houses can actually be worth. So let's talk to the neighborhood. Okay, so these are all 1985 houses, and they're, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? De-age your house. How do I do that? Orbs, lighting fixtures, hardware. The first thing you really need to do is, and I know it sounds like a real pain, but get a handyman to replace all of the hardware in your house from gold to brushed nickel. Number one. I'm telling you, that takes your house from 1985 and gets it out of there. It'll increase the value of your house considerably if you just have new, let me give you another example. So let's say you're in a kitchen and the kitchen is like, well, what do we do? Paint the cabinets, paint the cabinets for $6,000 and put on brushed nickel handles, and you'll look brand new. You'll look new, Take out the laminate thing and put in some quartz. $7,000, increase the value considerably. Take out the lamps and put in recessed lights, $200 a pop. Take out the, and really for your own kind of hip up your own house, get rid of all the big drapes, man. Open your windows up, get it a lot more open. And, if you just do some of those things, hardware, plumbing fixtures, and lighting fixtures, you'd be shocked at how much you enjoy your house.
The kitchen floor we're putting in, that's not a very big cost. It was about $5 a square foot.
Yeah. So we're spending $1,000 on the kitchen floor.
200.
So let's talk about just that investment alone.
Yeah.
So you can't sell the house without it because it's got a laminate, nasty floor.
Right.
So that goes, you put $1,000 in, and is that going to give us $1,000 more in the house? Are you kidding me? It takes away the one eyesore. In other words, what is prohibiting somebody from buying this house? That floor. Yeah,
like
you can't sell it with that floor.
Like you said, buyers don't have vision, right?
They don't have vision. And I'll be honest with you, Billy, I'm sitting here going, I walked in there, and I walk into 150, 200 houses a year, and I'm like, damn, I don't know what the hell you're doing here. I really, you got to see a flooring guy, Well, so Billy goes and sees the flooring guy. They sit down, they come up with a solution. You look at it and go, oh, that is awesome, flooring guy. So a realtor's not everything. We refer to you for the finance. We refer to flooring guys. We refer to, the electrical. But Kelly and Morgan and all these guys have a pretty good eye for what you need to do and it is funny that this one house that we are working on getting ready, the seller, all our sellers are 50, 60, and 70. And she goes, yeah, I went down to my, cousin or somebody's house, and they were all 30-somethings. She goes, I walked in the house, and it's exactly what you said. Right. It's the walls, it's the trim, it's the this, it's the that, it's the colors.
And a lot of their new homes that they're going to buy wherever they move are going to have this color and this trim and
Well,
this fixture.
let me go back to fishing. So, and I know we got to get out of here. It's 10:30 on the button. Let's go back to fishing. So what we're trying to do with the house is exactly what we did when I went fishing. So we were fishing on the Snake River. What do you call that? Fly fishing.
Fly fishing.
So go fly fishing. So what they do is they're trying to replicate the bugs that they're eating on that particular part of the river. So they literally will find dead bugs and make fishing lures that look like that. It's the exact same thing that we're doing, because when a person walks into our house, we're trying to replicate what the new homes look like.
Right.
Do the new homes have gray paint? Yeah, then put gray paint in there, because I guarantee you if they're looking for a new house, they've been in a new home. Now, they may have been in a new condo, new townhouse, or new house, but the reason they can't buy that is because they need more space. It's what they can afford is just not big enough. So you need a bigger house, but you still want to replicate that look and feel. And the look and feel is the gray walls, white trim, brushed nickel, or the matte black. Now, you can't go from you can't make the jump from gold to matte black.
Right.
Matte black's pretty new, okay, and it's pretty cool. But, you know, it looked a little out of place. A transitional house is one that blends tradition and modern. So you can't have hard tradition and then far to the left traditional, far to the right modern, because they don't mix. I mean, you've got to mix these things together, the shades of gray.
Yep.
So you have to have the shades of gray. And I'll just give you one more tip as far, because we've been doing a lot of this, looking at houses and helping them, you know, get their stuff. If you have a wooden room, if you have a, you know, the cedar plank rooms, and those are definitely 1980s, whether it's a sunroom or whatever. This one seller fought us. I mean, his wife really was recommending it, and he didn't like that at all. He was not happy that we were going to paint this sunroom.
It's wood.
When all was said and done, it looks awesome. I mean, it looked awesome. And so with that said, when you're painting, you know, we used to like the wood frames around the windows. You have to paint those white.
Right.
White.
This really is the benefit of working with a professional, experienced team like you guys. I mean, you go into so many different houses. You know what is the current, you know, styles, and how to let the sellers know, do this.
Thanks
and
for the
that.
plug, Mike. Go ahead and buy yourself something.
No, but I'll say one
absolutely.
thing.
I
Last
mean-
year, we worked with one of Michelle's friends, and you know, we picked off one of those homes that wasn't in the updated, you know, condition, and you know, we said it's only going to cost. It was a condo. It's only going to cost $3,000 or $4,000, and you're going to take a home that we got for $200,000 in Arlington. You're going to put $5,000 in. It's going to be worth $230,000, $240,000, $250,000, because we do it every day for our sellers. We can give that same advice to buyers, you know,
Sure.
where a house has been on the market for
Right.
60 or 90 days, and the buyers out there don't have that vision. Well, I can see what that house or what that condo or townhouse is going to look like if we put $5,000 or $10,000
We've already seen it.
into.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
this movie. I know how it's going to end. I'm doing it right now in an $800,000 house. We went from $800,000 to $850,000 and spent $10,000. So I can do that for a seller. Vice versa, I can do that for a buyer. you
So
know?
there's a
Buyer.
big difference
Yeah.
when you're looking at a house like that. There's a big difference in what we call the bones of the house and the cosmetics. So what Billy we're talking about on these is just the cosmetics.
Right.
Now you want to make sure, like, we're going to a house. Okay, we got a new roof, we got siding. The inside looks horrible. Oh, you got a new HVAC in it? Good. Good.
Correct.
But really, the paint looks terrible, and nobody's buying it because you're maybe overpriced or whatever. That's the one we want to go after. It's called sweat equity, everybody, that you go in, you put in the sweat of painting, and then you get the return of what's called sweat equity. So when we're sellers, we want to be in great shape. When we're buyers, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, and
Prep
also,
them
you
before
know,
we go in.
buyers, I mean, I'm looking for homes, and, you know, people, you know, have two jobs and kids. They don't want to do that. So a lot of the times we will
Buy
find homes
buy
that
the
are
new
in
one.
the,
Yeah.
the correct condition. But I'm just saying that, you know, we do it for sellers. We can do it for buyers as well. And
So the advice today is the market is better than 2018, not as good as 2017. Things are selling. There is, I think, a lot of inventory getting ready to get launched out there.
definitely let us know if you're in the market, because we have, right now we have 30 pre-launch, and we're going to be on another 10 meetings next week. So
Yeah.
definitely let us know if you're in the market to buy, because we get calls all the time, and we can get you in.
But here's the
homes
beauty
before-
of it is
before
we
they
can
hit the market.
have a bunch of pre-launches, but it goes smooth because the way we work, and I know it sounds like a lot that we're launching, but it's really not. For Michelle it is, for Billy it is, but you guys, we're built for this. So my attention is basically on getting the right price and fix the condition and everything else, da-da-da-da-da. And then it's over to Billy or Kelly or Michelle, or not Michelle, but Pat or Pam and Shayna. And then they only have 5 houses at a time, so they're really focused on their 5 houses. So the difference between a small team like we talked about and a big team may send out an agent to do. You're not meeting the principal. You're not going to get priced by the principal. You're going to get priced by somebody that may have been taught 6 months, 8 months, a year by the principal. This principal goes to every listing. We do not list a house unless I've priced it, given the condition, and set the marketing plan. And we set the marketing plan with Julie and Michelle. And Julie, bless her heart, is the most valuable person. Julie, you want to come and say hi? Hi. That's not a hi, Julie. The person behind the scenes at Casey Samson Team that does such a great job of geofencing and targeting our buyers is Julie, and that may be one of the differentiators of our team, is the way that we know who our buyer is, sit down with Julie, say, here's who you're looking for. You're looking for 50-something, they're living here, they're da-da-da-da-da. We give her a certain group of audiences. She packages these beautiful homes up, and then out they go on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and Google Ads, and targets exactly who we're looking for. And that's why we can drag these people in the house to get the multiple contracts. So we've talked enough. I hope you got, if you are looking to sell, I don't care if it's 2 years or 3 years. I don't care if you're not planning on selling. If you're trying to make a decision on whether you're going to make a major investment in your house, please let us know. If you're going to paint, please don't paint it in Redskin colors like the one guy did. Paint it in today's colors. If you want to know what they are, go right into any open house. You'll see Revere Pewter, Classic Gray, Rockport Gray.
I'm still on the Mindful Gray and Repost Gray.
Mindful Gray, Repost Gray. There are certain grays. It really depends on whether you have a lot of beige in your house. Yeah, if you have beige, then the Revere Pewter is a grayish, and that blends with the grays. So again, we're always trying to go like this when we're doing these houses. But if you need help, give us a call. I will personally come over with one of the 30-somethings. We'll give you advice on what you need to do in order to prepare the house for sale. If you're a buyer, call one of these guys. And for goodness sakes, if you are a seller, would not wait until the middle of April to sell your house. Give us a call now. Get in a lineup for March, because once we hit April, the inventory goes like this. And once you hit May, the buyer inventory goes like this. And then this is your June inventory. So what happens is the inventory of listings goes up in June, the buyer pool goes down in June, and that is when you have the least amount of success. So let's work on getting, if you're thinking about selling, let's get out there quick. Let's get these people to work. If you need contractors, let us know. We can refer those to you. And I think that's a wrap. Don't spend $120,000 when you don't have to. Give us a call. I will be at the Capital Expo show at the Dulles, what? At the Dulles Expo. Friday at 2. Friday at 2. And then I'm doing a panel there, right? So I'm doing a panel at 4 to 5 on Friday, 3 to 4 on Saturday, 3 to 4 on Sunday, and that's a round table, or I think it's Ask the Experts.
You sit down and they're asking you questions about real estate. So instead
Great.
of you giving a presentation, it's just a Q&A.
Okay, great. Q&A and asking questions.
And so that's not this weekend, that's next weekend.
That's next weekend. That's next Friday. All right, and look for our new shows.
That's
Beer with Casey, where we talk about football. Jack Daniels with Casey, where we talk about
Billy.
all world
Tito's
problems
with
and
Mike, too.
issues.
Tito's Bill.
Now, you're going to need to tape the Jack Daniels one, because I swear every time we do this, we solve all the world's problems. No problem solving them, but we never remember them the next morning. So hopefully Leslie, our lovely producer, will. That one's going to end up like this. Hey, Leslie, I like you. You're awesome. And Julie, I love you too. So maybe we ought to can I think the Jack with Casey and the driving with Casey or cars with Casey, or any Samson for that matter, should really be prohibited.
Just
I'll
the
reach
beer.
out to.
We'll think it twice. Let's stick with the beer,
Beer and cigars.
we'll go from there. Beer and cigars.
Happy
Thank you
Valentine's
for joining.
Day.
Happy
Yeah.
Valentine's Day to everybody. Michelle, thank you for all your work. Good luck in the next couple of weeks. Julie, thank you very much for all you've done. And to our lovely producer, Leslie, who makes Samson Properties look like a star. And thank you for all you do for Samson Properties. For Mike Filan from First Heritage Mortgage, Billy Sampson, one of our stars on the Casey Samson team. My name is Casey Samson. We'll see you anytime you give me a call. You'll see me, or the Vienna, or on any football field.
Football field, certainly.
See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Connie.